All right, so what's up, Grizz Nation? So, in today's video, we're going to be talking about a topic that has kind of been hot in the Grizzlies community, and that is should the Grizzlies target Ben Simmons, especially right now at the season or training camp is, heck, probably about a month away or less than a month away. And, I don't think Ben Simmons wants to be with the 76ers. And in a month, I mean, that's a whole lot. I mean, that's a whole lot of wheeling and dealing to be done if you're the 76ers because, one, if you get Ben Simmons, you're obviously going to get more players than you trade away. So you got to figure that all out. Like, if I had to imagine when Ben Simmons would be traded, I would imagine in the next 2 weeks. Like, sometime. It could be, heck, it could have already happened right now. But, enter the Grizzlies. Should the Grizzlies do it, especially considering the offseason they've had? So I saw this guy on Twitter named Sean Coleman, and he practically said, if you can't see it, I get why the Grizzlies would go after Ben Simmons. Amazing blend of skill and size with legit upside remaining. That is a bit of a buy low option right now. However, if his clear flaws mimic the Grizzlies rosters, so I strongly question him being the right one big move, which I'm going to say this up front before any of you guys make an assumption saying I want to get Ben Simmons. I wouldn't be opposed to getting Ben Simmons, but it depends on what we would have to get back, or what we would have to give, in my opinion. I'm sorry. Knowing the 76ers, they're looking solely at Jaren Jackson, and I'm like, if you want Jaren, all deals done. Like, I would even be, like, as high as I'm going is Dillon Brooks. And depending on if you want Dillon Brooks, that depends on how many first-round picks you get. Because if you want Dillon Brooks and maybe a young player, you're only going to get maybe 1 or 2 first-round picks, if you're lucky to. If you're lucky. And, it's getting to the point now where it's like the 76ers are losing more control over who they get in return. And it's sad to say that because obviously you have his rights, and Ben Simmons has been a great player for the 76ers for a long time. It's just the last year's playoffs, or last season playoff, I should say, where they kind of, it's hit them on the head that, hey, maybe Ben isn't our guy. So I look at that and I'm like, So off of one instance is where you're making the judgment where he's not a good player. I'm like, if I'm Memphis, I may kind of call the Sixers and be like, hey, what do you want? Because, and we forget it, that Memphis could potentially have 3 first-round picks next year with the Jazz and the Lakers pick. And then we forget that we also have that Warriors 2024 pick, which is in 2 years, which could, that could be like that 2024 pick could be like the move that gets Memphis from being a playoff team to a legit contender. So, especially if it's a good pick. So, but like I said, and like you can see this dude, what he says, like, so I strongly question him being the right one big move, which I agree with. However, if you call the Sixers and they're like, we'll give you Dillon, like, if we'll ask for, I don't know, Rajon Rondo, DeAnthony Melton, and Honcho, and like 3 first-round picks, dude, come on. Like, I don't care if you're a Grizzlies fan or not. Trading away someone who hasn't even played one game for trading away 2 players who haven't even played a single minute, and then Melton, who, yeah, I love the dude to death, has been inconsistent the last couple of, especially at the end of last season, and then 3 first-round picks that don't even have any relation to the Grizzlies. I'd do that in a heartbeat. Now, I think the contract, I think it's $21 million, so Memphis would be taking on some money. So you would more than likely have to include Dillon Brooks to get the deal done. But look, I think Ben Simmons is younger than Dillon Brooks, I want to say. I'm pretty positive that he is. And you can see here, like, even in the comments, Drew Hill, a very respected Grizzlies reporter or writer, one big move is much likely to happen next summer when the team has cap space and potentially 3 first-round picks, in my opinion. And then the Ben Simmons situation feels like it's likely to be resolved sooner than later, like which I said earlier, that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen to a team like Sacramento or the Trailblazers, or the The Spurs. The Spurs, Kings, and Blazers are, in my opinion, the three teams that would be like best suited. I don't see like, but it all starts with Morey. Wait, is it Morey? Yeah, it all starts with the GM, Elton Brand. You can't. You're not going to get 4 first-round picks and a superstar. You're just not. Ben Simmons does not work like that, and I've kind of stated this with Jaren before. They want to trade him, but it's also like you want him to be the same value as a player that you don't want to trade, and it's like you now have to ask yourself: Is Ben? Do you think Ben Simmons has changed? And one, do you feel like how he's been treated is fair? Because one, I don't think Ben Simmons thinks he's been treated fairly, and two, I don't think he even wants to be back in Philadelphia. And heck, three, that alone is going to just ruin everything. Like, it's going to ruin the package you get. Like the Sixers, I'm not saying that they're going to regret doing what they're doing, just because you do need to make those hard decisions for a franchise to thrive. But I also feel like you're poking yourself with a knife. That is not, it's a weird saying, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you're poking yourself in the butt, because it's like you're treating him badly, but you're asking for a high first round pick. The season's getting closer, so it's just I really don't know. And of course, the Grizzlies come into here, because you think about it, like all the young talent in Memphis. Like, you look at all the young talent outside of Ja, Dillon, and Jaren. Jarrett Culver, Desmond Bain, Tillman, Brandon Clark, Jarrett Culver. I said Jarrett Culver already. And then you have good contracts in Kyle Anderson, Rajon Rondo, Hunter Hernangomez. And then your first-round picks, Memphis, you have the Warriors, Jazz, Lakers pick, and then you have the Grizzlies picks from here on out. And then you have a lot of second-round picks. So Memphis has the ability to make a big upside trade, a big win now trade, if without even targeting anyone that you want to get rid of. Or I guess in this case, probably John and Jaren. Dillon is just kind of a fan favorite, but I'd be upset if we got rid of Dillon. But if it's like for someone like Bradley Beal, then I'll get over it pretty quickly. So I just want to talk about this, guys, because it is kind of an issue. It is kind of an issue. I hope that, dear gosh, it's not an issue if we do get Ben. But that is kind of like the reoccurring topic is the fit alongside Ja Morant just doesn't make sense. Personally, I think the fit alongside Jaren Jackson would be perfect, because you have a big who is a catch-shoot big, who also is defensive, who's great in transition, who in my opinion, would play very well alongside Ben Simmons. It's just Ja Morant. Because if you do that and you put shooters alongside Ben and Ja, here's my thing. Let's just say that they did trade away Ben Simmons, and you traded for Ben Simmons, you got rid of Dillon Brooks for the case. You have Steven Adams, obviously, Steven and Jaren, and then in my opinion you would probably put Ja at the 1, Desmond at the 2, who knows at the 3, and then Ben at the 4, and then Jaren at the 5, and then you would probably have to find a small forward. And you can find a small forward. That ain't the issue. But it's like you could heavily rely on Zaire, especially if Zaire becomes something. Defensively, you're such a good team. Yeah. So it's just like but you need offensive guys to put around them. Mm-hmm. So I just want to talk about this because I don't necessarily make these videos to kind of express my opinion. I kind of just maybe talk about a recent topic that's been brought up, and like I always say, like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to talk in the comment section. So if you're watching this video, please follow, or please say something in the comment section, because I want to know you get your guys' opinions. So like I said, like, comment, subscribe.